This is Tailgate Week, presented by Kingsford Charcoal.
2 weeks ago, a full house here at the Shoe for Southern Cal. 105 left, Bucks lead 15-10, but the Trojans cap an 86-yard drive plus a 2-point conversion, and SC wins 18-15. Since then, the Bucks have not faltered, though, and today is the first day of Big Ten Conference play, and their focus is on Illinois, who 2 years ago came into this building and knocked off #1 Ohio State 28-21. In fact, Illinois has won 3 of the last 4 games here in Columbus. Hang on, it's Illinois visiting Ohio State today. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a wet Columbus, Ohio. It is Illinois and Ohio State. And the weather for this afternoon, well, scattered showers, and they have already cranked up again. Temperature, though, a mild 67 degrees. And down on the field, the homestanding Buckeyes of Ohio State. Everybody, Ron Franklin along with Ed Cunningham, and welcome to Columbus. Last ball game played here 2 weeks ago against Southern Cal, and of course that was a loss, but the head coach of this ball club said, hey, no more hangovers. Our focus right now is on the Big Ten Conference Championship and heading to the Rose Bowl, Ed.
And fair or not, the focus around these parts has been on Terrell Pryor since before he arrived on campus. Unbelievably, he was named by the media in the Big Ten the preseason Offensive Player of the Year in the conference. But here's something to remember. This is the first team that he will have started against 2 years in a row, and talking to his coach before the game, he said that should make a difference. Now he's not just seen it on film, he's already seen them in person one time.
Regardless of what you know about this series, people don't realize Illinois has won the last 3 games here in Columbus.
And a lot of people around here remember how it happened in 2007. Of course, Ohio State was #1 in the country, and Juice Williams led an 8-minute drive to milk the rest of that clock. He has a quadriceps strain that he suffered against Illinois State. Let's see how healthy he is today.
So let's take a break, and we are just moments away from the opening of the Big Ten Conference for Illinois and Ohio State.
You're watching ESPN on ABC, home of the 2010 Rose Bowl game and the City BCS National Championship game.
Welcome back to Columbus, Ohio. And we told you it rained this morning. It stopped for a while, and now it has come back. But everybody's got their Kingsford out, and these are Hale and Hardy fans now. They are out here in numbers to represent their team this afternoon. Illinois in town to take on the Buckeyes of Ohio State. And in the last 18 years, this series is tied at 9 apiece. Watch this. This is the first time on the field for the Bucks. They're supposed to stop at the 50-yard line, and they went right across it. Ed, a little trash talking early.
I don't think a lot of people realize how close this series has been. And, of course, we mentioned that 2007, Illinois upset #1 Ohio State, and there's a little scuffle after that ball game as well.
Well, first played 1925. Illinois won that one, second oldest Big Ten rivalry. And Ohio State leads the Illibuck series 57-23-2. And Illinois, as we mentioned, has won 3 of the last 4. And Illinois wins the toss and they defer. So it will be Ohio State receiving. This is what has happened today in the Big Ten Conference. Boy, Michigan, what a ball game that one was. They win. Northwestern falls to Minnesota. Iowa, Penn State, we'll talk about that all afternoon long. And 38-30, the final score in that Wisconsin and Michigan State game. Notre Dame and Purdue later tonight. Jim Tressel, his 300th career game today, and he had a funny thing to say when we mentioned that to him yesterday.
He said he had heard that, and he said, I thought of one thing. It makes me feel tired.
Ron Zook, the head coach for the Illini, 5th season as the head guy there. And this is one team that, you know, they have had success again. Last year, not so, but the year before, Ohio State, I'll remind you, was #1 in the nation 2 years ago when they came in here and knocked them off.
And both Jim Tressel and Ron Zook say this is the most talented offense player-wise that Illinois has had. Now, that didn't show up in the first game against Missouri, did against Illinois State. They've had a week off. Let's see how they do this afternoon in the rain.
Demke kicks it off for the Illini. And it's going to come down to the 6-yard line, and that is Lamar Thomas. And Thomas breaks one tackle and brings it out to the 27-yard line. So it gives us an opportunity to look at the player profile for Terrell Pryor, 6'6", 235 pounds.
Start to see what type of running game they start to incorporate maybe a little bit more with Terrell Pryor. He is working so hard. He wants to be known as a quarterback, sometimes to his own, the team's detriment and to his own detriment. See if he starts pulling it down and running, because he is a gifted guy when he gets into the open field with the ball in his hands.
And another guy who's looking for a big day is number 1, Dan Herron. They call him Boom. He'll get the first hand off on the right side, and maybe a gain of 1 as Antonio James makes the stop. And a time now to take a look at today's impact players.
Dan Herron, they're hoping his yards per carry goes up. Of course, that has a lot to do with a inexperienced offensive line. Dane Zanzenbacher had a 76-yard touchdown catch last week against Toledo, 56-yarder against USC. And Doug Worthington, senior defensive tackle, having his best year, absolutely dominant in that very close loss to USC a few weeks ago.
Pryor looks at a 2nd down and 9. First pass of the afternoon, gets it right over the middle, and the hit is made by the defender, and the ball came loose. It is an incomplete pass, as Posey was the intended receiver. Ed, let's take a look at your game plan for the Buckeyes of Ohio State.
Well, I started talking about it when we were looking at Terrell Pryor's profile, but let's see what kind of runs they get him involved in. Patience on the option. Sometimes he pitches it too soon. For Illinois, one of the worst pass defenses in the country, their safeties have to be deep enough in this type of weather. Keep everything in front of you, see if you can't force a few turnovers.
Well, actually, right now that secondary is creeping up, looking for run play, and it's going to be a pass play. Pryor under pressure, throws it away, and I believe he was outside the tackle box. Antonio James and Donsay Hardeman applying the pressure. And it's going to be kicking time for Ohio State, and that opening series was very short-lived.
And that offensive line for Ohio State, I think a lot of people did not realize how inexperienced and young this line was coming back for Ohio State. That time got confused, and there was pressure immediately on Pryor.
John Toma gets his boot away, and it's not a good kick, off the side of his foot. And I'll tell you, Illinois is going to get a gift early, and we will find out if they are able to take advantage of it as they are stepping this one off, and it is going to be 1st and 10 in Ohio State territory at the 49. Well, here's the player profile on Juice Williams, 6'2", 235, a senior.
And the whole key here is his right quadriceps that he pulled against Illinois State in the very first play of the game. Came out after the next play. They had a bye week. How healthy is he going to be if he really, you can see that wrap actually already under his pads on his right leg. Let's see how healthy he is.
And that was only a 22-yard punt to open the ball game. And as we said, it is raining. Weather is not good, but he certainly would like to have had a little bit more than that. Williams gets his pass out, and he's off the mark. Near sideline throwing to Jared Faison. Take a look at the impact players for the Fighting Illini.
Another big injury for Illinois. Aurelius Ben had an ankle sprain against Missouri. Let's see if he's healthy today. He's been fighting. Jason Ford, a 230-pound back, second career 100-yard game against Illinois State. And Matt Eller, one of the most accurate kickers, not just in the Big Ten, but also in the country. He's perfect inside of 30 yards on his career.
Dufresne is the running back. And the man in motion, that's Ben, and he gets the football, turns it up the field, has 5, has 8, and 9. He's close to the first down as Ross Holman, one of those linebackers, very, very active for the Buckeyes, is there to make the tackle.
And so important to see if Ben can cut. He had that ankle sprain on the first drive. First drive against Missouri, he looked like he cut pretty well there.
Well, straight ahead with the quarterback sneak, he's not going to have the first down. Now, in this situation, with the ball at the 40-yard line, you got to think you're out of field goal range as far as the Illini are concerned, and you got to be in 4-down territory.
Yeah, this is, and I think that's why they went with just a quick inside run there. See if they can sneak one, knowing that they were going to go for it on 4th down. Now, the key here, though, I think this might be the best defensive line in the country after what I witnessed against USC. So I don't think you try to run this up the middle. I think maybe try to get some speed, even maybe a reverse or something like that, because I don't think you can run right now at the throat of Ohio State right now.
Fourth down. They need to take it to the 39. Right side and close, and I think with a second effort he did get it. That's going to be Brian Roll, the junior out of the state of Florida. Yes, and he is related to the Roll family that we have talked about for years in college football. Here is your game plan as far as the Illini are concerned.
For Illinois, stretch the field vertically. They worked on that during the bye week in their passing game. Pick the hot runner. They'll rotate 4 or 5 running backs through. And for Ohio State, if they get that USC effort they had on their defensive line, it's going to be tough going for Illinois to run up the middle.
Quarterback draw. Juice Williams, 35-30. He's going to have another first down. He'll take it down to the 27-yard line. That's Thaddeus Gibson on the stop and give him a gain of 12.
Really nice block. Really nice block. Watch the left guard, Hunt, as he gets down the field. Gets up on the linebacker roll and does a really good job of finishing his block, and Williams read it perfectly.
He's out of Hightstown, New Jersey, a junior. And Hunt is 6'6", 320 pounds. Some very big linemen on both sides of the ball in this game this afternoon. Play action. Williams dumps it out in the flat. Has it complete to Dufresne. And Dufresne will be stopped at the 24. A gain of about 3.
So many guys on this Illinois offense bothered by ankles. Daniel Dufresne did not play in that opening game against Missouri.
We didn't get to see him, and really Aurelius got hurt so quickly. He was on a pass route and went down. The ball was not thrown to him. So we really have not seen either one of those guys.
And Ohio State would rather not see number 9. And I believe they may get an illegal substitution on Illinois.
Illegal substitution. 12 men in the huddle. Offense. 5 yards. The down remaining second.
And Ron, we saw this against Missouri. We had that ball game in St. Louis. It's like Illinois, every time they get something going, it's their own mistake. It was fumbles. Juice Williams got tripped up by a guard on 4th and 1. And now just a complete mental error as you have some momentum getting the red zone. Back yourself up an unnecessary 5 yards.
So mark it off as now a second down in 12. Williams, great protection from the offensive line. Has a man and it's picked off. Stepping in front is Roll. Brian Roll up the far sideline. 45 at the 40. Cuts it back into the middle and is going to be collared at the 35-yard line by Randall Hunt, the guard.
Well, this is going to look familiar if you're a Navy fan. Brian Roll does an excellent job reading the eyes of Juice Williams. Just drops back. Williams never saw him. And remember, Roll was the young man who picked off the 2-point conversion that Navy was going for to try to tie the score at 29 apiece late in that ball game. Did the exact same thing that time. Read the quarterback perfectly.
You know, that's one of those situations where you wonder if the receiver he saw where the defender was, if nothing else, to collide with him and at least make sure nobody caught the football.
I think sometimes for a receiver, you're focusing on that ball.
Yeah.
And you may have seen him slightly at a peripheral, but that Juice Williams has got to see that linebacker. That's a senior making a mistake.
That's a 39-yard return. Boom Herron has 5, has 10, count them off. At 13, now 14 yards, and it's Garrett Edwards who makes the stop. They're not booing, they are saying boom.
And this is the part of the offense that they simply have to get going. There's been so much talk around town about conservative play calling, what they should do. This offense is so young. You lost 2 great receivers, 2 of the best receivers in the history. Just constant guys around Ohio State and offensive linemen. They need that type of run to get going.
A moment ago, it was Ohio State who was in harm's way. Right now, Boom Herron with a gain of 5 yards in this play, so that's 19 yards on 2 carries. They'll go with that kind of average all day long.
And unfairly to Herron, People have been talking about his yards per carry under 4 per game, but as we've been mentioning from the start, this offensive line, although very talented, still working their way. At any given time, there's 3 sophomores, no seniors really play on this offensive line with Jim Cordell out with an ankle injury, so they're still finding their way.
Second down, no score. Each team with the possession, and the first turnover being taken by the Ohio State Buckeyes. Josh Brent makes the tackle, and we'll see now if the Buckeyes can take advantage, because Illinois is going to go back and think, good heavens, we got the football 49 yards away, had a first down, and the ball moving very smoothly.
And the hard part for your defense when stuff like that happens, when your offense is moving, then makes a mistake. We saw it against Missouri. Now your defense has to go back out there. They're a little upset about what happened, but I think this is a chance where they could try Pryor over the top, maybe a little play fake.
Third down, they need to take it to the 22-yard line. Little option play. Pryor still holds on to it, tries to take it out now. Spins off the tackle, comes all the way back the other way, and he's tripped up at the 35-yard line by Clay Nurse. And folks, Clay Nurse, because of a wall that had formed over on the right side, may have saved a Buckeye touchdown.
I think that this would have been a walk-in touchdown. Nurse is the backside defensive end, and all 11 white shirts are going that way. Pryor does a nice job spinning out of Pilcher's tackle, and Nurse barely gets his ankle. And I think you're right, Ron. I think Pryor may have turned that corner and gone all the way, and you can see the frustration, and you know why.
Well, Petrie comes on a field goal attempt of 50 yards. Watch his follow-through, folks, after he kicks. It's part of his follow-through, but it's also an early celebration as he knocks home a 50-yard field goal with space to fair. One more look. Aaron Petrie, 50 yards. Bucks lead it 3-0.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
This young man who is dotting the I today is Alex Martin. He's a history major from Jefferson, Ohio. And folks, there are so many traditions at this school, but this is one that they simply will never let go of, and they shouldn't, because the fans love it, the football team loves it, everybody loves it for that matter, and that is Script, Ohio, and whoever dots it.
And several years ago when they switched it, that the Sousaphone player got to dot the I around the high school bands in the state of Ohio, people wanting to play the Sousaphone went through the roof. The demand exceeded the supply.
Well, Jenkins was told not to come out, decided he would do it, and now he is in deep hurt at the 9-yard line. Well, this week on ABC Saturday Night Football, Iowa takes on the Nittany Lions. Iowa has won 6 of the last 7 games in this rivalry. It is tonight, presented by Southwest Airlines, all a part of Tailgate Week, presented by Kingsford Charcoal.
And of course, Iowa knocked off Penn State with a last-second field goal in Iowa last year, with Penn State looking like they could head to the national championship game. So should be a nice scene tonight with a whiteout in Happy Valley.
Well, Juice Williams took over the opening series at the Ohio State 49. Now he is at his own 9. To see how they can do offensively with it. He'll keep it and then pitch it back. And Dufresne is going to take it out to around the 15-yard line. Check it. It's Jason Ford in the lineup now. Number 21, sophomore out of Belleville.
And Ford, a young man that Aurelius Ben and Juice Williams took under their wing during this offseason. They brought him into their workout group. They saw something special in him, wanted him to really focus in. And Williams and Ben did a nice job during the offense as the leaders of this team, taking some young guys and bringing them along.
3-0, Buckeyes lead. We hit the halfway mark of this opening quarter. Blitz coming off the corner. Running play runs right into the power side of that defensive formation, right where the blitz was coming from. And there were 3 Buckeyes that hit him at the same time, led by Dexter Larimore.
And Larimore was a guy that was pointed out by the coaches for playing really well against USC. You know, I was on the floor for that game, and you hear so much about USC having the best offensive line in the country. The term that Jim Tressel used was, we splattered them. And he's right. It was, other than that last drive, it wasn't close.
Let me tell you something. I don't want to take anything away from Washington, but I truly think the way they physically handled the Trojans, they had something to do in that loss the following Saturday up in Seattle. 3rd down, line to make is the 20, and I think we're going to have a, no, not delay of game, but actually someone had moved.
Your 3rd and manageable.
False start, offense, number 71. 5 yards. The down remains 3rd.
You are 3rd and manageable, and now you go to 3rd and long, deep. Illinois just cannot get out of their own way.
.6:35 left, opening quarter. Let's see if Juice and company can come up with something. Aurelius Ben dying to catch a ball. He ran it one time. Looking, still looking, right over the middle, and he got him, and it's going to be a 1st down, and it's Aurelius Ben. And I'm telling you, I thought he was interfered with as well.
So good to have this young man back if you're an Illinois fan. This was the 4th play of the game against Missouri. Nothing too drastic, just got tangled up and got his foot, his right ankle caught underneath him, did not come back in the game. And you saw how powerful he was right there, because
look at his arms.
Yeah, he's a big, powerful man.
He looks more like a fullback than he does a wide receiver, but he has the grace of a wide receiver. That's Aurelius Ben in motion, going to the top of your screen. Play action, and they throw it to him. Throw it low, and he shows he can scoop it up as well. Not enough for the 1st down. That other play was 16 yards. This is going to be about 9.5.
And it was funny seeing Ben get up there. He said to Juice, bring it up a little bit, because he is so good in the open field. And you mentioned how well built he is physically, especially in his upper body. He's almost impossible to tackle in the open field. So he's saying, bring it up a little bit, and I'll pick up the 1st down and maybe more.
Probably the most amazing thing about number 7 and number 9, Williams and Ben, is they are on not only the same wavelength. The coaches say they know what the other is thinking, and one of the reasons that combination has been so deadly. This running play is going to be plenty enough for the 1st down. And let's check in with Times Square Studio in New York. John Saunders.
Hey there, everyone. I'm Matt Weiner. I'm the guy who'll keep you in the know with scores and highlights from around the country. Let's get a Taco Bell update on the ACC battle. Ja'Cory Harris hit by Dorian Porch, who hopped on the recovery. 4 points later, the Hokies punched it in at 7-0 on a rainy day in Blacksburg.
Mr. Weiner, great to have you with us this afternoon, and I apologize for calling you John, but it gave you an opportunity to officially introduce yourself for today's work. Aurelius Ben makes that reception. It's only good for about a yard. Running play with Ford, and Jason Ford is going to take it for maybe 3 yards. It's going to be a 3rd down situation for Illinois. And against this defense, as Ed was talking about, particularly the down 4, this is a tough assignment, because if you're trying to run, they make it difficult. If you try to pass, they get pressure without linebacker blitz.
And Illinois going hurry up. This has given Ohio State trouble. And if there's one way you can slow down a defensive front, make them defend a lot of plays, and you'll start to tire them out.
Need to take it to the 50-yard line. Buckeyes lead it 3-0. Under 4 minutes to play, opening quarter. Quick pitch. Ford has the 1st down, and he'll step out of bounds at around the 49-yard line.
And this hurry-up offense. Jim Tressel, when we met with him yesterday, said this has really given us some trouble in the last couple of years. 2007, when Illinois won here, they rushed for 260 yards against Ohio State. And last year, in a losing effort, they rushed for 214 yards. And here they go again. And even though they have some depth on that defensive line, hard time getting those guys in when they're going this fast.
And if you wonder why the quick pace is good for Illinois, pure and simple. Mike Schultz, the offensive coordinator, says it is something that has given them trouble at times. But here with the blitz, Williams gets away from the first man, but not the second. Jamel Hines had a shot at him and then taken down by Derlinger.
Jim Haycock, the defensive coordinator for Ohio State. You're going to see Hines come from the top. And they've got to bounce somebody out. That's a blown protection. Juice Williams expecting someone to bounce out and pick up Hines, but that was a nice call by Jim Haycock.
Down 11. Loss of 11 on the play. Dufresne comes back in a tailback. And it's second down. They got to take it all the way to the Buckeye 38-yard line. Quarterback draw. Williams keeps it in the middle. At the 50, he gets smacked hard by Thaddeus Gibson and still fights his way forward. They're almost back to the old line of scrimmage. It's going to be a third down at about 9.
Another good job by an offensive lineman. Watch the right guard, John Asamoah, get downfield on this draw and just locks up Ross Holman. These offensive linemen early, the left guard the first time, right guard that time, doing a good job downfield blocking.
This is the 11th play of the drive. It started, you remember, back just inside the 10-yard line.
Asamoah breathing a little heavy after that block downfield.
On third down, Williams, good protection, looking, dumps it out of the backfield, and the ball is dropped by Faison.
Not a great throw by Juice Williams. He never really set his feet because Faison running that short crossing route, if this ball is thrown on time, Faison easily picks up the first down. The corner falls down, and if he throws it on time, Roll was trailing the play. I think Faison easily picks up the first down.
Santella to punt. Ray Small is the deep man. Here's the boot. Wobbly spiral. Fair catch is signaled and called at the 9-yard line. Let's take a break. 3-0, Ohio State.
ESPN's college football on ABC. Brought to you by the Ford F-150. It's not just a pickup truck. It's a Ford F-150. Dr. Pepper. Drink it slow. Doctor's orders. And Allstate, proud sponsors of college football. Are you in good hands?
Folks, the American Whistle Corporation is the only manufacturer of metal whistles in the United States. Straight from America's heartland, the American Whistle Corporation's whistles touch the lives of millions of people daily. Well, you're looking obviously at a live picture. While we were away on the break, it just started coming down in buckets. Now this is amazing. The last drive by Illinois started at the 9-yard line. The drive by Ohio State right now at their own 8-yard line. And Herring, Brandon Sane has come in replacing him, and Sane is going to take it all the way out across the 25 to the 27-yard line.
And with this much rain, you have to suspect that Terrell Pryor's not going to throw the ball very much. He's a young man who struggled with turnovers, with fumbles. He had 2 interceptions last week against Toledo, so I think that they're going to try to pound him.
Let me tell you something. Sane, 2 years ago, we had this Ohio State team out in Washington. They were running out the clock, and he goes 51 yards for a touchdown just before halftime. He's got the whole package now, and he pushes the pile forward on this one. It takes it for a gain of 5 to the 32 before Russell Ellington can put the stop on him.
And they had such big plans for Brandon Sane. Of course, in 2007, he had to have some knee surgery.
Right after that Washington game.
And then last year, they had a bunch of plays in where he would be in the game with Beanie Wells, where he'd be out as a receiver, come get reverses, pulled his hamstring, was tentative all year. So now just starting to get back into the flow and just in time for this rain that starts dumping down.
And folks, he's 6'1", 220 pounds out of Piqua, Ohio. This time to the left, bounces it outside, has the first down at the 42-yard line. Again, Ellington trying to track him down. You can tell from that tight shot from our folks that it is raining very, very hard.
And now if you're the Illinois defense, I'd be very concerned about Terrell Pryor keeping the ball now, because that has been that zone read look. He's handed it off. It looks like that's what he was told to do the last couple of plays, but now I would expect Pryor maybe to fake the handoff and then keep it around the other end.
Saints got 3 carries, good for 34 yards on this drive. They'll give it to him again. Little delay. Has 5, has 10, and still fights his way forward. They're going to spot him down after a gain of 13 yards. Tavon Wilson, sophomore out of Washington, played at Woodson High School in the nation's capital, makes the tackle.
And right now, the Illinois defensive front, which is a strength of this team. Sarod Williams at almost 300 pounds. Josh Brent at 315 pounds. There are some really big holes being opened up by Ohio State.
That's the end of the first quarter. 3-0 Bucks, and they're driving. Well, did you know the Illibuck Trophy was originally a live turtle before it was replaced by its wooden successor in 1927? And the Buckeye students are holding that down in the north end zone, or were during the timeout anyway. Brandon Sane continues to work at tailback, and he has been the spark plug of this drive so far. They give it to him again, turns the corner, 40, 35. Tavon Wilson again will shove him out at the 33. That's a gain of 12 yards. And double digits on virtually every carry has been his theme.
And he has not had to do anything until he gets near the line of scrimmage. And I think that Illinois, they are going to have to start bringing some run-down blitzes, because right now their defensive front 7, they're not getting anything done.
Justin Boren, number 65, was the man leading on the play. Justin is from Pickerington, which is a suburb here of Columbus, but he also played at Michigan first before he transferred, as Sane dances around, winds up with a gain of about 5 yards in the play. Ian Thomas defensively for the Fighting Illini.
Brandon Sane is a young man that everybody in these parts was waiting for to bust on the scene. You mentioned he's got sprinter speed. He's almost 220 pounds. He had the knee injury in 2007, the hamstring 2008. The coaches say he's finally in full game shape, and this drive is proving that.
Big Jake Ballard, the tight end, lines up slot on the left side. And they hand it off to Sane, and Ballard is the man blocking in front, and that one didn't do very much. Maybe a gain of 1. Thomas again on the stop. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life stats.
Well, 0 passing yards for Ohio State, because they're getting it done on the ground, especially on this drive. And with this weather, not really shocked. And the couple times they've tried to throw it, of course, the one, there was bad protection and Pryor had to throw it away. So you can see what the game plan is early with this weather. Hand it off to Heron and Sane.
Again from the shotgun, Buckeyes lead at 3-0, and it's a quarterback draw. And Pryor, stiff arm, pushed out of bounds at around the 30-yard line. Clay Nurse was the man who stayed at home again. That's a couple of times in this first half that he has been there to make sure that the big Terrell Pryor does not get by him.
And an excellent job by Nurse, because Pryor is so deceptively fast, but that time didn't lose his balance and go for the big tackle, and so Ohio State held to a field goal attempt again.
Well, this is going to be placed down between the 36 and the 37. We're going to say officially a 46-yard attempt. Aaron Petrie, this time from the right hash mark. Good pass and hold. Kick has got plenty of distance, and he got it. Let's take a timeout. New score, Buckeyes 6-0. Welcome back, 6-0, and you see that sign there of Woody Hayes. When you see the rushing yardage in this ball game, 77, no yards passing, I have a feeling that Woody is looking down in this game today saying, I love it. We don't have to throw the stinking football anyway.
And this kind of weather to start the Big Ten season does have an old-time feel to it, doesn't it?
Now they're asking for a clock reset.
There was no kick on the play. The TV timeout was not ended.
Those TV people always getting in the way, Ron.
Oh, by the way, we were back. I don't know. Anyway, it gave the fans an opportunity to
boo at us.
Boo at us.
And it wasn't even our fault.
Well, it was not the officials' fault.
Well, as well as Ohio State's been running it, not surprised. Only 2 attempts for Pryor so far. The rain's been on and off. Not surprised at all by those stats that are making old Coach Hayes smile.
Well, the kick, good high spinner from the 3-yard line. This is Aurelius Ben, and Ben runs headlong, and a helmet comes off with a defender and takes it to the 26-yard line. Well, overall points leader Mark Martin races for his 6th victory of the season, while Jimmy Johnson and Denny Hamilton, hey, they are hot on his heels. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continues in Dover, and that's tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern on ABC. Telecast presented by Burger King. So Buckeye is injured. We'll take a break.
The top 30 plays of the last 30 years. Number 27. In what is now referred to as the Miracle Bowl, BYU overcame a 20-point deficit in the final 3 minutes, made famous by Jim McMahon's 41-yard pass that somehow found Clay Brown on the game's final play from scrimmage. Follow the top 30 countdown all season long. Brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Jim McMahon was co-MVP of that game with SMU's Craig James, who rushed for 225 and 3 touchdowns. Both Ford and Dufresne in the backfield. Williams will keep it, has 5, has 10, and counted off at 16 yards on the play. Kirk Coleman will make the tackle.
What a nice little misdirection that time by Illinois. Marcus Williams was the young man who was hurt, 5th-year senior running back on that kickoff.
Dufresne carries it across the 45, tackled again by Kirk Coleman. So the hurry up on the part of Illinois, they continue to run the football, throwing just a minimal number of passes, as well as Ohio State. We showed you that number a moment ago. 77 yards rushing for the Buckeyes and no yards passing. Williams pitches it back. Option play. This is Ford, and Ford will be short of the first down. He stayed in bounds, so the clock will continue to run at the 50. And that is Chimde Chekwa, number 5, who comes in to make the tackle. And for Chekwa, some big shoes to fill, because the young man, Michael Jenkins, was absolutely as good as Ohio State has ever had. Right now, it is 3rd down and 2. The last time we saw him play here, he almost single-handedly beat Purdue. Interception, and what? Set up a kicker.
For a touchdown.
Yeah, punt block for a touchdown. That's right. This running play will go for the first down with Dufresne. Again, Kirk Coleman. Kirk's been busy, particularly on this drive right here.
Well, as good as this Ohio State defensive line is right now, and Ron, we saw it against Missouri. This Illinois offensive line was not great last year, but we saw against Missouri, they did a nice job, especially in pass blocking. Right now, they're doing a really nice job, and I think it's this hurry-up that has Ohio State a little tired up front.
Well, that's what the offensive coaches of Illinois were hoping. They were hoping that was the result that they would have. Williams, play action, dumps it off, and it goes right through the arms of Dufresne. And now our Aflac trivia question. Who are the 3 father-son combinations to captain the Ohio State Buckeyes?
The only hint I'll give is one of the sons is an announcer for ESPN. The rest you'll have to get. Well, I mean, come on, Andy. Well, you've got to get the other 5 people.
2nd down and 10. First incomplete pass we've had in a long time. Pressure coming. Williams gets by it, throws it out in the flat, and that's Pollard. And Pollard is close. Ball has come loose. Now, Ohio State is excited, but that ball was recovered out of bounds. He was not on the field of play. Russell Anderson is the man who made the recovery.
And I believe this may be the first ball that we've seen because of the damp field. I believe this is a fumble. They may review it, but it looked like this ball was out to me. The ball was out before he hit,
but his knees are down. If you look at it again, his knees are down. Watch him go almost in a prone position. Right. No, it's down. You're right. It's out.
Barely. But they will hold on to the ball because Ohio State could not recover it. And look how wet that ball is. That thing starts to get slippery. Sometimes you have to tell the guys in the open field especially, get a second arm in there.
ESPN's College Football on ABC, brought to you by Tailgate Week, presented by Kingsford Charcoal, Nissan Maxima, proud partner of the Heisman Trophy, and Aflac, we've got you under our wing.
The Buckeye Hall of Fame Cafe is a must-see for fans of Ohio State University sports teams. The expansive building includes trophies and exhibits. It also honors the exploits of Ohio State with its great players and obviously its very memorable coaches. Situation was the ball was not recovered on the field of play, and it is Illinois ball with a third down. And they need to take it to the 37-yard line of Ohio State to pick up the first down. 6-0, Ohio State on top. Williams. Arm was hit looking for Cumberland, and I believe Lawrence Wilson may have gotten a hand on the throw, or at least was forcing the action.
Wilson did hit his arm as he was following through and had a guy wide open.
You know, like most quarterbacks bounce when they throw, Juice is just standing flat-footed.
Yeah.
So it's punting time at Santella with his second punt of the afternoon. Ray Small is the deep man at the 10. So let's go back to our Aflac trivia question. Who are the three father-son combinations to captain the Ohio State Buckeyes? Well, here they are. Jim and Jeff Davidson. And look at the middle one there, Jim and Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk's father in 1960. Kirk was the captain in 1992. And the Johnsons, Pepper and Deontay. And congratulations. You know, what a thing. You talk about stuff in your life you'll never forget. The birth of your children obviously is huge, but the fact that you get to share an experience like that, both of you to be team captains at a school like this, it is truly something time-honored. Pryor going to be taken down behind the line of scrimmage, and I think we had a face mask on Clay Nurse. So he got a big play and wipe it out because they're going to get a 15-yard penalty.
But this is the stuff that fans around here want to see Terrell Pryor grow up, because that you can't bounce that play. There's 5-6 yards right there in the middle of the belly of the defense, and you feel like your athleticism can get you outside. He'll catch a little break here, but he's just got to tuck it.
Personal foul. Grasping the face mask. Defense number 97. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
And you see that sometimes with a young man who's so gifted athletically. They want everything to be the big play, the 30-40-yard run, instead of taking, that was a 5 or 6 yard gain right there in the middle. And hopefully those are the things. Remember, he's only a sophomore, 19 years old. As he progresses, we'll start to make those decisions a little better.
Boom Herron, as we mentioned on the last play, in the game at tailback, replacing Brandon Sane. And it's Herron, breaks it open, has 5, has 10, counted off at 13 yards, and tackled finally by Trayvon Bellamy. Matt Wider in New York City. Let's check in with you.
All right, Ron, Verizon Wireless update on Miami and Virginia Tech. Tech scored off a Miami turnover for their first touchdown. This is all Hokies. Through the air, Tyrod Taylor. Tyler to Jared Boykin, 48 yards, 14-0 Hokies in a steady reign in Blacksburg.
Okay, Matt, wow. If you're going to have somebody as hot as Miami come to your backyard, you got to punch them in the mouth, and they certainly have done that. Here's Pryor. Takes it inside the 45, now the 40, and is ushered out of bounds. And now flags come from everywhere as he was taken into the bench. And that looks like Shupo Sani on the tackle that might have been flagged for the extra exuberance on the play.
Well, they were 3 or 4 yards out of bounds. And Sani, he just got to let go. He just has to let go of the legs and then throws it. That looked pretty bad. And he's getting talked to over there. And the Big Ten.
Late hit out of bounds. Defense. 28. 15 yards. Automatic first down.
And the Big Ten has really cracked down. They've already suspended an offensive lineman from Purdue. And they suspended a linebacker from Michigan. So they do that on Mondays. Look at that tape. So Sani's got to settle himself down.
And Ed, let's look at it this way. If you're in a line eye, this ball is at the 21-yard line. 59 yards. 30 of those have come by penalties on this drive. And Ohio State doesn't need any help. Herron tripped up. Did he trip over his own man or defender? But he's going to be close to the first down. Just missed it. Jake Ballard with a really good block on the play.
And Herron does have a running style where his feet stay very, very close to the ground. And you see all the time in training camp when the running backs and during the week they work in the ropes where they have to pick their feet up. And that happened a couple of times against Toledo. He needs to start working about being able to pick up his feet in traffic.
Second down, Herron straight ahead. He'll have the first down just inside the 10. Doug Pilcher defensively for Illinois. Clock continues to run. 8 minutes and 30 seconds left in his first half. Ohio State 6-0. It has really started to pour again.
And this is where Ohio State has not been very good the last 2 years. Going back to last year and this year. In the red zone, they're not scoring enough touchdowns. And with the rain pouring, first and goal from the 9, I always think first and second down or throws here. I don't think you can throw it. It's raining too hard.
At the 4-yard line, Herron and Dante Hardiman, who tripped him up on that last play where Ed was talking about. Boom was shuffling his feet a little bit close to the ground rather than picking him up and laying him down. And you could see that from that end zone camera.
And everyone has been talking about how conservative Jim Tressel is in his play calling. And it's almost like, well, what coach have you been watching since he got here? But you're going to see that same thing here. Right now, his defense is playing fairly well. No chance at a turnover. I think you're going to get another run.
Pryor to keep it. Pitches it back. Herron at the 1. Touchdown, Buckeyes. As we get ready for the extra point, I have a feeling that Kirk Herbstreit is watching this ball game right now. Kirk, that's 127 yards rushing, 0 passing. Big goose egg. And Jim Tressel is happier than anybody in the stadium right now.
Nice job by Pryor holding on to that ball to the last second, pitching it on that option play.
Petrie with the extra point attempt knocks it through, and the Buckeyes change the scoreboard again. Opening Big Ten contest, the Bucks go on top 13-0 on this Boom Herron touchdown. Welcome back to Columbus, and if you have any doubt that whether it's raining hard or not, that shot right there will put a period on it. Wow. Boy, thanks to our crew. This is a tough group. Hale and Hardy talking about that. I mentioned that as the fans for Ohio State, but our crew doing a great job in maintaining, and they're getting a little wet, keeping the equipment dry, and right now we've got a 13-0 ball game. The Buckeyes on top. Petrie prepares to kick it off. From the 2 is Ben. Aurelius Ben. Now let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary.
Well, it all started with a really nice job by Brian Roll cutting right in front of Aurelius Ben to pick this off. Gets a good return, leads to a field goal, and then the option to Heron. Even though Brandon Sain has a few more yards than Heron, those guys have been going back and forth, and right now Ohio State 0 passing yards with 7:25 left in the second quarter.
Isn't that amazing? 127 on the ground. But hey, in these kind of conditions, some teams are really in a world of hurt because they can't run the football. Juice Williams going to be knocked down for a loss. Derlinger, Todd Derlinger, a senior out of Troy, Ohio. And by the way, if you see number 92 in offense today, he is such a team guy that he went to the coaches and said, you know, I'm not necessarily starting. Larimore and I are swapping time. He said, you know, let me play some offense in short yardage situations.
Of course he wants to play offense. He might get a pass thrown his way.
No.
And as a senior, that'd be a pretty nice way to go out with one touchdown in your career.
You're right. It would be. Pass caught. That's Ben. And no, they're going to say incomplete. Could not hold on to it at the 34-yard line.
And that's the second time we've seen that ball thrown low to that exact route by Juice Williams. It makes me wonder if Williams is struggling with a wet ball. Maybe he's gripping it a little bit tighter. Ball's not coming off as clean as he'd like. I mean, there's the other thing to remember too. This is one of those field turf fields. It has the little pellets, those little black pellets. If they get on the ball as well, they can make it even slicker.
Juice Williams, third down. He needs to take it out past the 36-yard line. Nothing doing. Tackled at the line of scrimmage. Forward hit by Cameron Hayward, the big junior out of Sewanee, Georgia, 6'6", 287 pounds.
And another excellent job, too, by Brian Roll. The one thing these coaches have talked about, all of those big names, James Laurinaitis, you mentioned Jenkins is gone. Marcus Freeman, who was a do-everything player for them for several years, gone. But the defensive coaches, Jim Haycock and his staff, talk about how well this defense runs to the ball, and you saw that there.
It's interesting. Bill Wendell, my spotter, said during that quick timeout or the exchange that they have already played 9 defensive linemen, Ohio State. Everybody's happy in a camp that plays that number of people in one position. Punt is going to go dead at the 33. 13-0. Buckeyes on top. We'll be right back. How about these numbers here? 19 rushes, 127 yards, 2 passes, neither complete. And that's it. And they've got 13 points. And the defense is pitching a shutout right now. Heron back in the ball game at tailback. Gets the handoff for very short yardage. Sain had such a good stint. By the way, a career high for Sain with 64 yards on that drive that he was in the ball game. And season high for him. But Boom Heron now the last series and now this one.
And for Illinois, it's worth pointing out that Martez Wilson, their normal starting middle linebacker, will have surgery on a herniated disc in his neck on Monday, so he's not in. Evan Frierson getting his first start. Wilson, a very athletic guy. And for Frierson, tough way to start.
I'm telling you. Boom Heron comes all the way to the 40-yard line. It's going to be third down. It's Dante Hardiman who got up underneath him.
I'd like to clear a little something up about Boom's nickname. It used to be Boone because his name is Daniel. His dad called him Boone, like Daniel Boone. It switched to Boom because he runs so hard when he was in high school.
Well, look at this. They're both at 64 yards. Sain on 7 attempts, an average of 9.1. And for Boom, hey, 5.8. You'll take that every outing, right?
Yeah, bring it up. You know, he's a little under 4 right now, but this offensive line's playing much better.
Boy, he gets tagged at the line of scrimmage. Going to be short of the first down. Man, he got stood up. That's Ian Thomas, the big sophomore out of Berwyn Heights, Maryland.
but he didn't wrap up.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure. Boy, it's awfully close. Thomas did a good job filling up in the hole, but he did not wrap up Herron. Herron spins off and almost picks up the first down, but doesn't matter how close it is. If it's not first, you punt this away, because Illinois has not been able to do anything with their last couple of possessions.
And they're not going to take a chance. A mishandled snap or what have you, and they could give Illinois great field position. The last pass, by the way, by Pryor was the third play of the ball game. It's a good punt right here. And the deep end runs away from it. Ohio State's going to run it down, and it will stop at the 5 1/2 yard line. Matt Weiner in New York City. Let's check in with you again.
All right, Ron, Sports Center right now presented by Sprint. Tate Forcier hit Martavius Odoms with 2.5 minutes left as Michigan fought off Indiana to remain unbeaten. While South Florida, playing without senior quarterback Matt Brody, got 126 yards rushing and a pair of touchdown passes from B.J. Daniels. The Bulls beat Florida State in Tallahassee.
We are back. Boy, I'll tell you. At Seminole Ball Club, every time you think they have identified who they really are,
they don't.
And you say they don't have any idea, do they? That's amazing. Illinois, for the second time in this ball game, starting out with the line of scrimmage initially on a drive inside their 10-yard line. And Dufresne will take this back to about the 9.5 yard line before Spittler makes the tackle.
And excuse me, Ron, but with 3 timeouts, you've got to think Ohio State is not going to let Illinois milk this thing too much, because if they don't pick up the first down, they're looking at pretty good field position. Start thinking about those timeouts if you're Ohio State.
They're going to keep it on the ground again, and it's going to be Dufresne short of the first down at the 14-yard line. Clock runs now under 3 minutes.
Quarterback run is always a good play here. If you're going from the shotgun, you got 2 guys in the backfield, maybe 1 guy is a lead blocker.
Ford and Dufresne, the 2 setbacks with Juice Williams. He's not going to have it. He is hard pressed to get back to the line of scrimmage, and Thaddeus Gibson was the man who made penetration and fouled up the whole thing.
Not sure why Ohio State's not using a timeout here. There, you finally got the timeout, but that was just domination at the point of attack, and Illinois' offensive line not getting much push. But let's take a look, Ron. You pointed out with Juice Williams how he stands straight-legged in the pocket and doesn't move his feet. And it's fine when he throws on time. That time, of course, he's a little late. But when there's people moving around, and remember, he got his arm hit, and he's just standing there. And sometimes, if you're standing flat-footed, you don't slide around in the pocket as much. And you know, someone who struggled with that early in their career was Sam Bradford. Remember how straight-legged he used to be? And you got to get a little flex in those knees so you can start moving around the pocket. You have less balls batted down. Your arm doesn't get hit as much. You can move out of the way of pressure. And so see Juice move around a little bit more and not have straight legs when he's standing in the pocket.
Will Small drops back deep, and the Buckeyes stand to get very good field position. Now, the official has not seen it, but there is a towel on the field at about the 4.5 yard line, which could impede either the offense or the defense. But they're letting it lie there, so they think it's okay. Nice kick. Small backing up, makes the catch, loses the ball for a moment at the 45-yard line. 41 yards in the boot, and let's see who's got it.
It is not fun to be on the bottom.
It is Illinois football. Cumberland, Jeff Cumberland, the senior out of right here in Columbus, played at Brookhaven High School.
And humongous turn of events, and a mistake by a senior just right through his arms. That has nothing to do with the ball being slippery. That just went right through, and Cumberland, he found the ball between Ray Small's legs and wisely pulled it apart.
Cumberland is big for a wide receiver. I mean, he's 6'5", 255, unless I wrote my numbers down.
No, he's a former tight end. They needed him a wide receiver because he's pretty quick. And unbelievable mistake by Ray Small. They would have had the ball, good field position, 2 timeouts, almost 2 minutes. Now, instead, Illinois flips it 3 timeouts, minute 54. Let's see if they can take advantage of it.
Fakes it to Dufresne. Williams going to go on top. Looking long. Has a man down there, and Ben cannot hold on, and pass interference is called. Chimde Chekwa. Chekwa is going to be called for the pass interference.
And this is a good lesson for any young quarterbacks. Remember, we were talking last night about Blaine Gabbert at Missouri. I was so impressed with him last night, and when we saw him against
Pass
Illinois.
Interference. Defense number 5. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
It pays to underthrow deep balls occasionally.
First penalty, excuse me.
Because when you underthrow it, Chekwa's trailing. He never turns to see the ball. College football, you don't have to turn around if you're the defensive back. There's no such thing as face guarding, but you cannot make contact.
At Chimde, as you could see, they had already embraced him as well, though, to make sure that he did not, because Bend is so strong, as we have documented earlier. Flag is down, and this play is just blown up at the line of scrimmage. Dufresne, the ball carrier.
Now you have to be smart with a senior quarterback. You have 3 timeouts, minute 43. You've got to be smart. Use those. You've got plenty of them. So if you get something where it's going to take your offense a while to get back to the line of scrimmage, go ahead and burn one of those timeouts. Don't let 16, 17 seconds run.
Illegal formation. 5 men in the backfield. Offense. 5 yards. Repeat first down.
So Illinois doing what they have done just too often this year, and that is when they get something prosperous going, then all of a sudden they make a mistake and move themselves backwards. The point here is, hey, listen, 3 points would be huge, and with that penalty, I think they're out of field goal range. So they got to make something positive on the next 3 or 4 downs here. LaShore in the ball game at tailback. Quick pass in and out of the hands of the intended receiver at the 38-yard line, and that was Faison. And, you know, Faison he did the same thing in the Missouri game. Well, I don't know if that's his MO or not.
And it's going to be a long season for Illinois if they cannot start cleaning up some of these mental errors. I mean, that ball thrown right on the money. I know it's wet, but you practice in the rain. You practice with wet balls all the time. And these little things are really going to cost them down the road, as they already have against Missouri and so far here today against Ohio State.
Stops the clock. 1:15 until halftime. Williams looking deep over the middle, and the ball should have been intercepted. There was not an Illinois player within 10 yards of where the ball was thrown.
Another mental error. And you could see Juice Williams right there talking to Faison. Faison ran the corner. He was expecting him to cut into the post. And they're just out of sorts, not even able to take advantage of what should be a huge momentum change on the muff punt by Small.
So 3rd down. And if they want a new set of downs, they got to take it inside the Ohio State 20. Buckeyes lead it 13-0. 1:11 to play until halftime. Williams delivers as a flag comes down back behind the line of scrimmage, and that for sure is going to be offensive holding called against the Illini. This pass would not have been enough for the first down, but they certainly would be in field goal range.
Yeah, they were right on the edge of field goal range there at the 35. Eller's got a pretty good leg, but that would have been a lengthy kick for him. I believe a career long if they had spotted it there.
Holding. Offense, number 78. 10 yards, previous spot. Repeat 3rd down.
And that was
so Chris DeVault made a nice reception there, but bring it back. That's the 6th penalty in this first half against the Fighting Illini, and it'll push it back to the 45-yard line.
And now I think you've got to think about 45, I think 15 yards before you're going to feel real comfortable with an Eller field goal. But you also don't want to give the ball back right away to Ohio State with their 2 timeouts. So maybe a screen or something.
Well, the clock is running again. It's now at 40 and counting down. 3rd down. Williams going to go on top. Got a man at the end zone line. Caught it, but out of bounds, and that's DeVault. That is a heck of an effort by that young man to have that kind of concentration and come down with the football, and it was very, very close.
Check what was beat. And he makes the catch but comes down out of bounds. And in college football, it doesn't matter if you're forced out when you land out of bounds on a catch. I think that DeVault would have landed out of bounds whether Chekwa hit him or not, but oh so close for Illinois. But Ron, it just goes back to the issue of backing themselves up to a 4th and 25.
Santella comes on to punt it away for Illinois. 28 seconds showing on the clock.
And, they're going to get a delay of game. They didn't have the punt team out there.
You know what, though, that's fine if you're the punting team, because you want you'd like to have 5 more yards to be able to get that thing and get a good coverage kick. Now you could boot it away and have less chance of that thing going into the end zone. 28 seconds left until halftime. 13-0 Ohio State. And if you just joined us, Ohio State has 136 yards total offense, every bit of it on the ground. Nothing passing, but they have done a terrific job of running the football. No deep man for Illinois, or Ohio State, I should say, and it's touched down by Cumberland at the 4-yard line. Well, ABC Comedy Wednesday at 8, 7 Central. It's the return of a comedy icon. Kelsey Grammer goes from businessman to family man in ABC's Hank. Series premiere Wednesday at 8, 7 Central on ABC Comedy Wednesday. Ron Franklin, Ed Cunningham coming to you from a very soggy but full Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio. Rain started this morning, broke off around noon. We thought we might get lucky, and then I mean right before kickoff it really started coming down. Now the knee is taken, and that will be the final play of the first half. Terrell Pryor heads to the locker room. He has no passing yards, but he doesn't care. His offense has done a nice job of holding on to the football. The defense has done a great job of keeping the Illini out of the end zone. And as we head to break, 13-0 at halftime, Ohio State leading the Fighting Illini.
This is Tailgate Week, presented by Kingsford Charcoal.
Welcome back to Columbus. The rain has stopped, but I'll tell you, the Ohio State Buckeyes played very well in the first half with just a downpour coming both sides of the football. Offensively, they ran the ball extremely well, and defensively, they just put up a door.
And for the play caller, Jim Tressel, why would you change? The way Illinois, your defense has played okay. Illinois gotten some yardage going, but every time they get something, they start going backwards. So I'd say the same now for Illinois. Maybe we see Eddie McGee, the backup quarterback, in the second half, but I don't want to put too much on Juice Williams because they've had some drops. You know, they've had some pre-snap penalties. Let him settle in. If you don't get it going, maybe a change-up with McGee in the second half.
You know, Juice hasn't made anything happen, though. And, you know, in the game 2 years ago here that was so great for him.
4 touchdown passes.
Yeah, you know, he made things happen. That has not been the case today. Petrie with the kickoff. And it's going to come down right at the goal line. This is Jenkins. And a flag comes in late. As soon as we get this call here, which appears it's going to be holding, we'll take a look at the Pacific Life stats. And if this penalty moves it back half the distance, they will have had opening drives.
During the return, holding. Returning team number 18. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
Okay, time now for the Pacific Life statistics.
Well, do not think that we are incorrect. That is a 0 passing yards for Ohio State. If they double that in the second half, it will be a record. Turnovers 1 apiece, and now 8 penalties for Illinois. Every time they get something going, you think positive to get started in the second half, they go backwards.
And starting drives, 5-yard line, 9.5-yard line, now the 12-yard line. That's 3 of their drives today, and they lose 5 on first down. It's not happening for them right now as Thaddeus Gibson comes across and makes the tackle.
Gibson right up top, comes unblocked. He read the quarterback perfectly, and he had a great angle of pursuit on the quarterback.
Plus the fact he broke down instead of just plowing straight ahead. You could see him, you know, almost bouncing his feet back and forth, breaking down like you do covering a punt. That's a nice defensive stop. Williams hit as he throws, gets it away, pass complete, and the tackle is broken. Ford finally going to be stopped at around the 11-yard line. Thaddeus Gibson again with heavy pressure on the quarterback.
And Gibson, a guy who had shown such promise a couple of years ago. And this defensive line, you mentioned earlier, has played 9 guys. When you are playing a hurry-up, any offense, but especially a hurry-up, when you can rotate 9 guys through and they're all productive, you'll be fresh in the fourth quarter.
Well, Gibson also has got some huge shoes to fill because Golston is the guy that he's stepping in for, who had such a brilliant career here. And Thaddeus right now is stepping up. Blitz comes. Williams going to run it. Going to be hit, and guess who? Ball is loose. That's Gibson, who caused the fumble after the tackle. It would appear, let's see. Yes, the referee has just signaled that it is fourth down. Recovered by Illinois, but Gibson.
Pretty good series by 90.
I'm telling you.
Wow.
4th straight 3rd and out.
Does an excellent job. Swim move on the left tackle, never gives up. And then when you go in for the tackle, and if you're Juice Williams, you have got to do a better job of ball security when you decide to run it. But Gibson just destroyed Illinois during that series. He caused the 3 and out.
Did you know that Thaddeus is a music producer as well? We're going to talk about that before this half is over. His kick goes straight up and does not turn over. Going to go out of bounds at around the 39-yard line.
What an unbelievable series for Thaddeus Gibson.
He has a small room in his house that he produces rap music. And they said it is a bond between so many of the players who now come over and do it.
And all the players say the reason that he is the producer because he can't sing. So if you can't sing, you produce.
In fact, it was Worthington that said it. No chance.
No.
He'll never be on a record.
You keep mixing the songs, we'll keep singing.
Reverse out. Pryor throws. Got his man open and just missed him big time. Sensenbacher is the intended receiver.
Well, that is the first throw in game action since the 3rd play of the game. He's got his tight end, and he's got Sanzenbacher, and I think this is just rust. He had two guys layered. They're open. He goes for the longer throw because it was open, and I think he's just out of rhythm because he hasn't thrown since, what, 2 or 3 minutes into the ball game.
Yeah. In fact, I think it was like the third offensive play.
Yep.
4 wide receivers to the left, but he throws it quick out to the open side of the field, and that is Posey. And DeVier Posey is in the vicinity of the first down.
And now this is where you get yourself a nice gain on second down. You get to 3rd and 3. This is where, if you're Illinois, you've got to be careful of a play fake and some type of deep throw, because for Ohio State, they have some guys who can stretch it. Posey, Lamar Thomas, Deron Carter, those guys can really stretch. So be very careful, you're Illinois, having your safeties back.
Ohio State, by the way, 0 for 4 on 3rd down conversions. Here comes Pryor, turns the corner. They just got their first one. 20, 15, bumped out of bounds at around the 10-yard line. Garrett Edwards forces him out after a 27-yard gain.
And I think this is what Ohio State, as they start to develop as an offense, and the scary part, I think everybody expected Ohio State to be explosive on offense this year just because of number 2, but they are so young and inexperienced. But this is where I think you're going to start seeing the growth, is runs like this for Pryor when they get better.
It was Jake Ballard, number 86, the big tight end, 6'6", 256 pounds, who threw that block that allowed his quarterback to turn the corner. Boom Herron at the 5, down at the 2. Tavon Wilson makes the stop.
Herron does such a nice job of, like, see him get his feet up a little more in and around the pile, but he does such a nice job of slowing down, allowing the wash of the play to go by him.
Florida, Kentucky, Notre Dame taking on Purdue, Iowa, Penn State, and of course Texas Tech at Houston. 4 more games to come today, and I'll tell you, I'm staying up late tonight. I want to watch Texas Tech at Houston.
There might be 2,000 yards of offense in that thing.
It's going to end tomorrow, I can tell you that. Herring, right side, touchdown Buckeyes. Boren and Stoneburner combined for the key blocks on the touchdown run.
And Herron was very slow to get up. Excited for the touchdown, but he laid on the ground for a few seconds after he burst over the goal line.
Petrie to attempt the extra point, trying to make it a 20-0 ball game. Ohio State. He got it. And you can see Herron. We're going to take one more look at the touchdown, and he looks as though he is favoring. Is that a shoulder? Anyway, here comes the run right here. Puts a head down and takes it into the end zone for the touchdown. His second of the afternoon.
First one came on an option. That time up the middle. He's not a very big guy. I mentioned earlier, his nickname used to be Boone. Daniel Boone. That's what his dad called him. But it changed to Boom, even though he's only 193 pounds. He is, and he's walking it off. He is not feeling 100% right now.
Well, here's a reminder. Log on to ESPNChicago.com for local coverage of the Bears, the Bulls, the Cubs, the Sox, the Blackhawks, plus all the area's college teams. Notre Dame, Northwestern, Illinois. ESPNChicago.com, and coming soon, ESPN.com for Dallas, New York City, and Los Angeles. And maybe this is what he was trying to shake off. Boom Herron sits on the trainer's table, and it looks as though they might be retaping an ankle, or at least taking a look at what is there.
Yeah, they're definitely examining the ankle. And the bad news for Illinois, they're checking the stability of that ankle, making sure there's no ligament damage. But the bad news for Illinois is
Ohio
State
will come in.
Yeah.
And Sane had 64 yards on one drive.
Yeah, 7 carries for 64 yards. Sane averaging almost 10 yards per carry. So that's the bad news. They need a big play out of somebody, and if anybody's going to do it, number 9 Aurelius Ben might be the dude.
Be fun to see Aurelius get loose on a few things here and demonstrate why he was the preseason ESPN.com preseason pick for Offensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten Conference. And he certainly is capable of doing that sort of thing and having those kind of performances.
Led the Big Ten last year, 1,000 yards receiving. Juice Williams led the Big Ten in total offense last year. They're going to need every ounce of that here in the second half to try to overcome what has become a very efficient running offense for Ohio State. They're going to continue to shorten this game with the run. In case you're wondering, that's the White Stripes Seven Nation Army that has become the go-to song. Like Jump Around up in Madison.
Yeah.
Seven Nation Army has become the go-to song here in Columbus. It was an unbelievable scene here against USC. One of the best I've ever seen.
Petrie's kick is going to be taken from the 4. And it's Aurelius Ben. Right up into the pile. Pulling backwards now. Ball is loose at the 24-yard line. All the players trying to be officials. And off the bottom of the pile is Staples for Illinois.
Well, Thaddeus Gibson was a wrecking crew. That time reads the read option perfectly. Almost gets Juice Williams, makes him throw it early, and this time trails the play, gets the strip to force the punt by Illinois. Let's see what he does this time.
That's about as much as you can ask from one guy. You know, that's a really good afternoon, let alone one series. Williams pass near sideline, thrown a little bit low and incomplete to Faison.
And I would think that we're going to see a heavy dose. And here goes Illinois speeding it up.
They called complete. They said that he was able to maintain possession of the ball. Hands it off to Dufresne. Hit behind the line of scrimmage.
Guess who?
And, you know, they only have one number 90. It may appear to be that several people are wearing that jersey out there. But I'll tell you, Thaddeus Gibson has decided he's going to take this game over if at all possible.
And that time he just ran right underneath the block of the right tackle. He's feeling it right now. Just cut him loose. Give him what's called a free rush. Allow him to do whatever he wants, even if he breaks contain, because he's feeling it.
Little stunt inside. Pass is thrown complete. And that's going to be close to the first down. LaShore made the catch, and Chekwa was there defensively to make the play on him.
LaShore was big, had 4 receptions against Missouri, was suspended for some off-the-field stuff against Illinois State. Nice job finishing that run because he caught it, and there was good pursuit, and caught it short and finished the run for the first down.
So Illinois moves the sticks. And an opportunity to get something going here. Little option play. The ball is pitched back, and the gain is going to be for very close to 9 yards. Tackle made by Spittler. Spittler's an interesting story. He has paid his dues. Guy by the name of James Laurinaitis played that position and played it well. And so Spittler didn't have any choice. You know, he was behind him, and now he gets an opportunity as a senior. Great team guy. Most players are not quite that patient, Ed. Williams. Rob Rose forced him out of bounds.
I wonder if Juice Williams is it's 100% because of that quad strain. He just didn't look like he had the burst. He's not a fast 40-yard guy, but he usually has a much better burst than that. And you can see the wrap on that right thigh. 2 weeks ago against Illinois State, they had the bye last week. He strained his quad. He just doesn't look like he has that burst. I think if he was fully healthy, he'd have picked up the first down there.
Third down. Got to take it to the 45. Pass thrown complete right over the middle. Home. Nawanaki. Nawanui.
Well, his teammates just
Nawanui.
and his teammates just call him
Uh-oh made the catch, and it's enough for the first down. LaShore going to take it across midfield. Tackled by Worthington and Gibson.
And Illinois down 20-0 is going so fast that they're having to wait. Eric Block, the center, is having to wait sometimes for the ball to be set. And I like this. They are a hurry-up offense, but they're going to need to go fast, especially the way Ohio State's been running the ball.
You could tell that those linemen getting a little bit winded. Thaddeus Gibson came to the bench. But as we mentioned, they played 9 defensive linemen in the first half. This pass close to the first down. And again, it is Homa Nawanui making the catch.
And Homa Nawanui, a guy at 6'5", 270 pounds, worked really hard during the offseason, the last couple of off seasons, on his hands. And last year, 25 catches, no drops. And so he's a guy that Juice Williams can feel comfortable in that intermediate area. Of course, he's a big guy, almost an offensive tackle, but showing he can also run that little option route for 5 or 6 yards.
9th play of the drive coming up, and a timeout has been called by Ohio State. 7:30 left in the third quarter. Ohio State 20-0. So we are back in Columbus, and the rain has stopped. Ohio State on top 20-0, and the Illini trying to get something going and get on the scoreboard. And they come with a sweep to the near sideline to the 34-yard line is LaShore, and tackled by Austin Spitler. Austin, a captain.
You know, you mentioned he sat behind James Laurinaitis for 3 years. Came into training camp ready for his senior year, and straight away strains his calf. And it was almost like, you know, I've been waiting all this time.
Doesn't just say a lot about the respect his teammates have for him, though.
Vote him a captain, and he's never been a starter.
That's right. And that, to me, speaks volumes. LaShore, they fake it to him this time. Throws the ball. It is tipped and intercepted by Ohio State. Lawrence Wilson dropped off on the play, and watch how well this is played by a defensive lineman. Second turnover of the afternoon.
Well, you always hear about linebackers and everybody else reading eyes, but this time Wilson read the eyes of Juice Williams and knocked it up, and it was almost like a volleyball set, and catches it.
Here we go. Ball tipped with his left hand, and then he makes the interception. Let's take a timeout. The Illini thwarted again.
ESPN's College Football on ABC, brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Live life to the ultra. Pacific Life. For insurance, annuities, and investments, choose Pacific Life, the power to help you succeed. And the Volkswagen CC. Visit your local dealer for a test drive today.
Well, the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, home to over 5,000 animals representing over 700 species. And by the way, it was the home of the world's first captive-born gorilla. It was directed by Jack Hanna for 15 years. Looked like those kids were having a great time out there.
Did you see that chimpanzee come after those kids? That was funny.
Sane back in the ball game, got away from the first tackler, and then is going to be stacked up at the line of scrimmage. And they are saying that the ball came loose, and the officials do not concur. They said he was down. Doug Pilcher with a defensive play for the Illini.
Well, in the Illini, because this clock is going to melt awfully fast, down 3 touchdowns, they've got to start. First guy there, wrap up the ball carrier. Everybody else needs to come in and start trying to rake that ball out, because it's the only way that they're going to get back in this game is if they can force a turnover or two.
Well, Lawrence Wilson on the bench still receiving congrats. Well, nothing there. Terrell Pryor says, let me take it back the other way. And it'll stop after a couple. Tavon Wilson making the stop. And it was Clay Nurse who turned him back in and helped force the play.
Nurse has really had a nice game, hasn't he?
He really has.
And as tough of a day as it's been for some of his teammates, he's done an excellent job. And they are, of course, playing for the Illy Buck trophy. That is the second oldest trophy played for in the Big Ten, behind the little brown jug between Minnesota and Michigan.
It needed all that varnish today with this rain. Now it's falling.
Re-varnish.
Yeah. Surprised you didn't see beads of water on there. Third down, line to make is midfield. Pryor, one run, a quarterback draw, stiff arms the first tackler, turns it to the outside, and he's going to have the first down. He will have the first down with a yard to spare, and that's Dante Hardiman who made the tackle. Ray Small with a good block, number 82.
And this is the thing that drives you crazy when you see a quarterback like that with those long arms. You think you've got him. Corey legit thought they had him, but Dan Herron and Brandon Sane, you've got to start thinking Brandon Sane is he's in the ball game now. Dan Herron may have sprained his ankle on that touchdown. Let's see if Sane starts getting fed the ball a little bit here.
Throws the ball, has a man open, and that is Sanzenbacher down at the 30-yard line. By the way, Dane was the offensive player of the game, 2 of the 3 games that they have had this year.
And this is a fake option pass. And there's Clay Nurse again. He is having a whale of a ball game. He broke free, came in for pressure, but because of that option fake, the linebackers freeze, the defensive backs start coming down, and you're going to start seeing a lot more of that because they run that option quite a bit out of the shotgun.
This is Shane going to throw again, and the ball to the other side. Sanzenbacher good for the first down. Garrett Edwards on the stop.
And this is where you have to think this offense is going to go as this group starts to mature together. Not a lot of in-the-pocket passes. That is not Terrell Pryor's strength. He is not a pocket quarterback yet. Wants to be, works at it. But the play fake, moving, keeping everybody off balance, I think that's what you're going to see over the next few years with this young man playing quarterback.
Sane has the tight end, and Jake Ballard blocking in front. Big Jake helps escort him down to the 10-yard line. We saw Jake yesterday. A bunch of the players were in the offices signing posters and then going on a trip to see some
kids at the Children's Hospital.
At the Children's Hospital. And Jake came walking in, and there's a large shadow that comes in a room when Jake walks in. He is at least 6'6". That's what they list him at about 260 pounds.
And I like to think I give a nice firm handshake.
Did he hurt you?
Yeah, he almost broke my hand.
Second down, and the ball came loose. Pryor is there at the 10-yard line. It's going to be third down. That's Frierson who helped interrupt the play.
And this is something, again, with a young quarterback. Ball security, of course, the fumble last year against Penn State.
Imagine how this kid's heart, you'd have had a monitor on his heart. First time to start a game, and it's for $105,000 at the shoe at a conference opener.
And a freshman.
A little bit revved up, yeah. Redshirt freshman out of Washington, D.C. Third down, they need to take it to the 6. Faked it to Sane. Pryor throws the ball and almost had it intercepted.
That's just a bad throw.
Tavon Wilson is the man who cut in front and almost pulled off exactly what Brian Roll did in the first half when he returned at 39 yards.
And this needs to be thrown away because this is an interception. You cannot throw this ball back. Your body, you have no zip on the ball whatsoever. That's just a young quarterback mistake.
Give credit to Small. He played defensive back on that one. It's going to be a 27-yard attempt. Petrie. Knocked it through with about 40 to spare. 23-0. Ohio State extends its lead. 28-0. Ohio State on top, and still the numbers. 224 total yards for the Buckeyes. Only 40 of it passing. And folks, if you joined us late, they had no yards passing in the first half. But it rained so hard, and their running game was so steady, they didn't have to throw the football, and really didn't have to throw it on the last series. Petrie to kick it off. From the 2. And this has been, whoa, what a collision. Matt Winer in New York City. Let's check in with you. What do you got for us?
All right, Ron, I've got a nominee for the AT&T All-America Player of the Week. South Florida freshman quarterback B.J. Daniels made his first start today in his hometown of Tallahassee and delivered with a pair of touchdowns through the air and 126 yards on the ground. Text vote to 345-345 from your mobile phone. You could win a trip to the national championship.
Thanks, Matt. Well, congratulations to that young man, but boy, what a shocker. With Florida State being at home, coming off that huge upset win of BYU. Williams gets this one away quicker and has it complete to Aurelius Ben.
One of the things when we were talking to Mike Schultz, the offensive coordinator, said they wanted to push the ball down the field vertically in the passing game. We haven't really seen that. Maybe we'll see that on this drive as they claim.
They got five receivers, but the difficult thing is, even without blitz, Ohio State has done a really good job. Williams is going to hold on to it, not going to pick up the first down. It's a gain of 1, and give Thaddeus Gibson still another tackle on the afternoon. We'll start keeping his totals here shortly. They got to be mounting up there, both unassisted and also assisted.
And he plays what they call the drop defensive end. When they rush 3, sometimes he'll drop out, but at 240 pounds, the way he's been playing around the line of scrimmage, I wouldn't be dropping him out at all.
He's got 6 tackles unofficially. Caused a turnover. Williams pitches the ball back, and turning the corner is LaShore to pick up the first down. Anderson Russell made the tackle for the Buckeyes. Clock is stopped, 1:16 left, third quarter.
And, Mike Schultz, his first year, came up from TCU, took over from Mike Loxley, who headed to New Mexico to be a head coach. And right now, things a little difficult. We saw them against Missouri have their struggles as well.
Well, he's a good offensive coach, and had great success at TCU. That ball is going to bounce up to DeVault.
Well, you got to make the simple throws. Even though that's a long throw, it's not that difficult. And we've seen Juice Williams many times going to his right on throws near the sideline with low balls, either right at the feet of the wide receiver or bouncing it before it gets there. Seems to really struggle with that throw.
That's a tough throw right there. That's a long way for not much. It's just a minimum amount of real estate. Well, they pulled the guard. The defender ran around him, and it's going to be a loss back 4 yards on the play. Andrew Sweat made the stop, number 42, a sophomore out of Washington, Pennsylvania.
Watch this defensive line for Ohio State. The penetration. Just Roll misses the tackle, and Sweat's there, but that play completely blown up at the point of attack by Rob Rose. Saw that time and time again against USC. This defensive line at the point of attack is so physical. They get their hands inside, good pad level, and they consistently knock back the offensive line of the team they're playing.
Well, as you can see, they need 13 yards to pick up the first. Williams. This time it's Worthington. Second time that he has been sacked. But Thaddeus Gibson is the man who was pushing. Watch the pressure he applies, and he just shoves that tackle away, allowing his teammate to come underneath and make the stop. So that is the end of the third quarter. Buckeyes 23-0, headed to their first conference win of the year. And we're back in Columbus, and did you know Ohio State has not allowed a point in the last 7 quarters?
Of course, they shut out Toledo last week in Cleveland. Toledo was coming in to that ballgame averaging 42.5 points per game, blanked them, and we were just talking between the breaks that a lot of it has to do with this defensive line. Whoa. They have some athletes at linebacker and secondary, but this defensive line can be so dominant.
Those folks have not had to do as much today because of that. Here's a rugby-style kick, and it's going to be taken by Small. Still on his feet. He's going to be tackled at the 46. Well, now, here is a look at our city inside view.
Well, you hear all the time about the quarterback on the zone read, reading the backside defensive end. There is Thaddeus Gibson. That is who Juice Williams is reading. He thinks he's got it because Gibson goes down inside, but watch his body position. They call that the football position. It's like playing defense in basketball where your head is up, your shoulders are up, you chop your feet. And that way, if you come in and you've got your head down, a guy like Juice Williams, he's going to bounce right around you.
Step outside one step. And
yeah, and the whole defense has flowed with the running play, and he could pick up 8 or 9 yards. That was an excellent job by Gibson.
Running play for a couple of yards. Legit makes the tackle. Corey, a sophomore at Hialeah High School out of Miami, Florida.
I would assume that we saw a bunch of passes there in the third quarter, but I would think that they may want to keep Juice Williams on the sidelines as much as possible here in the fourth quarter. Milk this thing. You're up 23-0. The way Brandon Sane ran on that one drive in the first half. Try to spring him loose a little bit.
Here's Sane, and this time covered up a little quicker. Again, it's Legit who makes the stop for Illinois.
And I think Ohio State would like to do what Juice Williams did to them 2 years ago here when they were #1 in the country. And Illinois got the ball back with just over 8 minutes left, leading the game. And 3 third-down conversions, 1 fourth-down conversion, all by Juice Williams, knocked the #1 Buckeyes out at home. So I'm sure an 8-minute drive would be just what Jim Tressel would like to dial up right now.
You know, I'm not trying to do one-upsmanship here, but after this play, I'll tell you about a drive even longer than that I saw down in Norman, Oklahoma. Little draw play. Sane, big opening, has 5, counted off at about 7 yards, and it's a first down. Kansas, very good ball club, late 80s. They go into Norman, and they carried the ball, kept it away for the Sooners for 14.5 minutes. Oklahoma did not snap the ball until with a few seconds left in the third quarter.
Well, and there's been so much talk around Columbus about, you know, the conservative play calling, not kicking the long field goal against USC. But Jim Tressel and his offensive staff know that they have a lot of inexperience. They have a quarterback who's completely inexperienced. He's shown a penchant for throwing the ball away, sometimes into coverage. They've got such a good defense and defensive line. They're trying to match their play calling with what their team is. And I think going into Big Ten play, the way this defensive line is playing, this offensive line seems to be maturing a little bit. And I know people want to see more balls down the field, things like that. But I think if you know Jim Tressel and his history at Youngstown State and here at Ohio State, it's always been that if we have a good defense, we're going to play it a little conservatively. And as the weather starts to change, might be the right way to go.
Tell you, Jim Bowman, the offensive coordinator for Ohio State, said an interesting thing yesterday. As you saw Pryor running the ball, most people think it is run first and then throw. He said he actually thinks as a passer first rather than a runner first. And you know, this afternoon he has gotten loose a couple of times.
Offense, number 76, 5 yards.
That's going to be Shugarts, the sophomore out of Klein, Texas, the big right tackle.
And that is the 4th false start by Shugarts in the last 2 games. Of course, he's in there for Jim Cordell, the senior, who had ankle surgery. And that is Darrell Hazel, the wide receivers coach, who occasionally gets into the play calling mix with Jim Tressel.
So it's second down. Swings it out to Sane, makes the catch. Look how patient. And because of that, he's going to have an extra 5 yards. Waited for the defender to just run by because the defender didn't break down. What we were talking about just a bit ago with the great play by Gibson.
You get a feeling that Brandon Sane, as this season goes on and his career goes on, being healthy, they had such big expectations. We had them twice 2 years ago. You mentioned the game out at Washington. We also had them here against Northwestern after he had been injured and had that knee surgery. But they were really excited about that young man back then. He's starting to show why.
Third down. Got it again. This time grabbed by the ankle. Not going to have the first down. That's Frierson on the stop. Well, let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary.
Take a look at the 2 quarterbacks and what they have done today for Terrell Pryor has not been asked to do much with his arm. And for Juice Williams, under 50%. Not all of those his fault. He has thrown some dirt balls, but he has had a couple of balls dropped, has not had great protection. So don't put that all on his shoulders.
Interesting thing right here. Some of the crowd is booing because it looks as though Coach Tressel is going to send the punting unit on and have John Tuma kick the ball away. I'll make you a case. We had a game a couple of weeks ago, Colorado trailing Toledo big. Colorado scores a touchdown, and then on the ensuing kickoff, the kickoff is fumbled, and they score 13 points in a matter of seconds. Jim Tressel does not want to see that happen to his ball club.
Yeah, and Aaron Petrie was making his case to try the long field goal, but this is the right decision. And a lot of people, the same decision was made against USC when they decided not to kick it and pin a freshman quarterback back after they dominated the entire game up until that moment. So I think that's why there's still some residual boos going back to the last time they played at home.
23-0. Buckeyes still lead. We'll be right back.
(23-0) Ohio State. Just to finish that thought about that USC game, I was here on the floor of this stadium, and I felt the exact same way Coach Tressel and his staff did. Their defense had played so well. You had a freshman quarterback with a bum elbow across the way. People around here forget that against Texas a few years ago, they went for the long field goal, missed it. Vince Young went down and beat them. So it's kind of you're darned if you do, you're darned if you don't. But I thought that was the right decision at that moment.
There's Juice Williams, and he's going to go down after no gain. It's roll along with Anderson Russell.
And these guys have got to love to play behind this defensive line. It is so much fun for linebackers and secondary guys when your defensive line is tying up all the blockers and getting pressure. It just frees you up to do so many other things.
It also makes your secondary just spectacular.
Yes, it does.
The quarterback is running for his life constantly. Quick look in. That is caught, and it's going to be Cumberland, and he is slung around and tackled. It's going to be third down.
You mentioned earlier in the game that Cumberland, a local guy, was really looking forward to his last game in the Horseshoe. And Illinois has played so well here recently. They won 3 of the last 4 trips, but not going so hot today.
Yeah, Jeff Cumberland played at Brookhaven High School here in Columbus. Third down. Line to make is the 30. Williams had to reset, repump, and almost intercepted by Kirk Coleman.
Coleman, a senior.
Yeah, Coleman's had a nice game. He had a series of tackles there that he was adding them up one right after another.
Well, he's a guy who plays strong safety, so it's kind of that position. You have to be big and strong enough to be down around the line of scrimmage. He's only 188 pounds, but a strong guy, but you also have to be able to go out and cover like that. That's a strong safety is a really difficult position to play.
Santella with the punt. Good kick. Very good one. Small, forced all the way back to the 27. And nice coverage by the Illini, tackled quickly by LaShore. Let's take a break. Ohio State big.
ESPN's college football on ABC, brought to you by Verizon Wireless, America's most reliable wireless network. Capital One, what's in your wallet? And the Home Depot, more saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot.
Well, the Book Loft of German Village is a city block-long store less than 1 mile from Ohio's Capitol building. And upon entering, you'll find yourself in a 32-room labyrinth with each room dedicated to different categories. New running back into the ball game, a freshman, Jordan Hall, and he is out of Jeanette, Pennsylvania. The city rings a bell. It's where Terrell Pryor is from. Gets the handoff, breaks the tackle, and I'll tell you what, Frierson makes the tackle. Frierson, as this game continues, has gotten a little better and a little better.
And he is part of that pipeline from Washington, D.C. Mike Locksley, the offensive coordinator who left to go to New Mexico, born and raised in the D.C. area. And Aurelius Ben, another guy that they got out of that area. You wouldn't expect Illinois to have a big presence down there, but they sure have recently.
Good look at Frierson, 6'2", 225, redshirt freshman. They come with a sweep, and Pryor goes down.
We'll take a look at our weekly presentation of the Cunningham Cam. We went into the locker room to find out about the Buckeyes, the stickers that you always see on the helmet. And we met with the equipment manager, Louis Van Hoos, and he explained to us not only how you put them on, but what you get them for. And the interesting thing is almost every sticker is for a team-oriented goal. There's only really one individual goal, and that's the offensive lineman of the week. But almost all of those are based on special teams play, winning the game, a road win, things like that.
You know, and I don't think a lot of people, as this pass is thrown complete to Posey. Posey out of bounds at the 45-yard line of Illinois. I'm not sure people realize that. I think most folks think, well, it's for personal, you know, gains, but that's not the case at all. It is for team.
And it is so important to these players. Coach Tressel puts out a list every week of who gets how many Buckeyes, and the players walk in, they count on their helmet. Okay, I'm supposed to have 22. I've only got 21, Lewis.
Yeah, they go over to Lewis at his little cage, and they say, Lewis, you shorted me one, and he'll say, no, I didn't, because he double and triple checks it. It's an interesting thing. It really is. We appreciate Lewis taking time. Really interesting young man, the equipment manager now for a number of years here at Ohio State. That pass in the flat thrown complete to Boren. Garrett Edwards making the tackle.
Zach Boren, the younger brother of the Michigan transfer Justin Boren, a true freshman. Tonight's going to be a nice set of games. Iowa versus Penn State. We are off and running in the Big Ten today. Indiana gave Michigan everything that they could handle. Penn State may be down two of their best defensive players. Zach Lee and Bowman may not be able to go. They're outside linebackers, so that could affect the ball game.
Well, they're straight ahead with Jordan Hall. He is not going to have the first down. And the Houston game, to me, what is even more interesting is the fact Texas Tech played the same kind of game last week in Austin that Southern Cal played here in Columbus. And Southern Cal went out and got whipped by Washington because Washington outplayed them for starters. But I think physically they left a lot here. And I think we'll find out if Texas Tech did the same thing in Austin.
Well, and if Houston gets this win and then they get into their Conference USA schedule and win out, they've already had the great win on the road against Oklahoma State. They beat another Big 12 team in Texas Tech. They may start nudging themselves into that top 12 undefeated and become an automatic berth into a BCS bowl game.
Kevin Sumlin has done a terrific job down there. Terrific job. Hall again, and he is close. Yeah, he's got it. On the second effort, picks up the first down. Doug Pilcher making the tackle. Well, the Big Ten today, taking a look at things. Michigan had to come from behind, what, 4 times? And they win it by 3. It is Minnesota winning over Northwestern. Iowa, Penn State tonight on ABC. Michigan State falls to Wisconsin, and Notre Dame, Purdue on ESPN at 8 o'clock Eastern.
And I'll tell you, Notre Dame better be heads up for Purdue. They've got a solid running game.
You bet.
You've got a banged-up quarterback for Notre Dame. One of your best receivers out.
Ball is loose, fighting for it. It is recovered by Ohio State, and that's going to be.
And this is the thing that Terrell Pryor is really struggling with early.
Frierson makes the recovery. Sorry.
No, early in his career, Pryor needs to start tucking that ball away. He fumbles way too much.
Welcome back to Columbus. New quarterback for the Fighting Illini, number 10, Eddie McGee, a junior out of Washington, D.C., played at Woodson High School. Played 5 games as a wide receiver last year, 6'4", 210 pounds. And Justin Green in the backfield, also at running back. Justin has a great story. Here comes a flag down, and the ball is intercepted at the 41-yard line by Jermail Hines. And Hines looks for some teammates to help him out. Going to be tackled just inside the 45-yard line.
Holding, 78 offense. Penalty is declined.
Okay. Okay, now we are given a timeout. Ohio State 23-0. So we are back as the rain starts to fall again with 5:08 left to play in the ball game, and Ohio State comes up with a big interception. And let's check in with Matt Weiner. Matt, what do you have for us?
All right, Ron, I've got a Sports Center right now presented by Sprint. Oregon has kept Javid Best in check, and Jeremiah Masoli is connected 3 times with Ed Dixon. The Ducks are dominating number 6 Cal. Meanwhile, Tim Tebow took the separate plane to Lexington due to illness, is on the field. He has started for the Gators, who are knocking on the door at Kentucky on ESPN2.
Okay, Matt, thanks so much. I bet that's one term you didn't think you'd be using this year, young fella. The devastating Ducks. Pryor, the tackler went over his head. Now he's going to run for it. Look at this. Has a first down, plus about 10 or 12 more. That's a talent that comes from someplace else. It doesn't come from coach. And Ian Thomas is the man who went right over the top of him. And Pryor is so large and strong, he bent down, let him go on over, and then turned into a huge gain.
Well, and if I were the Ohio State coaches, I mean, you're so excited to have a young man who can do this, but at some point you've got to get Joe Bauerman in there, the backup quarterback, because you do not want a bunch of guys in garbage time like Ian Thomas taking shots at your quarterback who you have absolutely hung your entire program on. I know he needs experience. He needs game time.
Under 4 minutes to play. Sets to throw and gets a middle screen, and that's to the tight end. That's Jake Ballard. And Jake will take it inside the 15 to the 13-yard line.
Well, you've got to keep those guys happy. I mean, we've seen Ballard. How many times have we seen him leading plays? He does a good job on the stretch runs, blocking. You throw a little wrinkle in there, you get him a little taste, so he stays happy and working hard.
They offset their tight ends a lot, particularly Jake, where he sets up almost behind the tackle or between the tackle and tight end.
Yep.
And then they bring him across the block like a trap block.
And that's a neat little wrinkle to that. When you hide him back there, he's almost like a fullback. It's almost like a fullback screen if you have him in the backfield.
Straight ahead with this running play. Again, Jordan Hall, the freshman, 5'10", 190, tackled by Antonio James.
Well, it's an interesting statistic for the Tressel family. Of course, their father Lee, longtime coach at Baldwin Wallace. Dick Tressel, who's now the running back coach under his brother Jim Tressel. But this is the 500th career victory for the Tressel family as head coaches in college football. What an amazing milestone.
And 2 national championships also.
Yep. The only father-son combination to ever win national championships.
This running play is going to be stopped at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd down. And I don't think Coach Tressel is interested in scoring a touchdown right now. He is very interested in getting 2 minutes and 25 seconds off the clock and get out of here without anybody being injured.
Well, and going forward, as now that they are into the meat of their Big Ten schedule, going for their 5th consecutive at least share of the Big Ten title, have to do a checkup and see what's going on with Dan Herron. I don't believe we've seen him in the ballgame, if much at all, since that injury on that touchdown. Maybe precautionary.
Ball straight ahead. He goes inside the 5.
And the one guy you don't want to get hurt, of course, is Terrell Pryor.
There's Bosserman on the sideline, the number 2 quarterback here at Ohio State. Well, they got 1:38 showing on the clock.
Well, and this is not rubbing it in. You're just running the ball down at the goal line. Run your base offense.
Couldn't hold on to it. Pass intended for Adam Holman, a fullback.
So much for running the ball. And they want him to go. But
only bad thing about that, stops the clock.
Yeah.
And look who's out on the field. Petrie says, hey, let's just kick another field goal.
Petrie's had a pretty decent ball game.
He is an outstanding kicker. And his kickoffs are either to the goal line or within 2 or 3 yards. And timeout has been called by Ohio State. We'll be right back. Well, they are happy here in Buckeye Land, and for good reason. 23-0. And reverse pass, they throw it for a touchdown. Sanzenbacher.
We'd like to see 2 runs on those last plays. You know, it's not a complete blowout, but I know you need work in the red zone, but
so that means Petrie, who was 3 for 3 from field goals today, comes in to attempt the extra point.
And now for Ohio State, as they score what is likely their last offensive play of the game, they start getting ready to go on the road to Indiana. And now that game becomes a lot more interesting after how well Bill Lynch's
Bill Lynch's ball club
played at
I know Michigan had to come from behind 3 times, and I'm not so sure it wasn't 4 to finally get a victory. What, 3-point win in Bloomington. And gosh, if you're Illinois, just the rocky road continues because they got Penn State next.
And look at that, the back half of that schedule. You have a feeling between Penn State, Iowa, and Michigan, at Penn State, at Michigan, that is where the Big Ten championship is going to be decided. It's going to come all the way down to those last 3 ball games. And with the way Ohio State is playing, especially on defense, they will be right in the mix to try to win their 5th consecutive Big Ten championship.
Ron Zook pacing on the far sideline. His ball club right now being shut out with 1:18 left to play. And the prospects of getting points before the 1:18 has expired is actually not real good the way this Buckeye defense has played today.
Well, go back to last week. It's 2 shutouts in a row if they keep them off the board. Shut out Toledo last week in Cleveland.
And also here is another, did you know, Illinois now has lost 15 of their last 16 Big Ten openers, including the loss today. And that's actually surprising, because we talked about, of course, they have not opened with Ohio State every year in league play. But in the last 18 games between these 2 teams until today, the series was tied at 9-9.
And gets no easier for them. Their next ball game, Penn State at home. So
then they got Michigan State, don't they? McGee's going to keep it on the ground. And 106, now 105 as the clock runs down. Anderson Russell comes over to make the stop. Well, the Buckeye fans came out today and said in some horrible weather, but they were here to back their ball club. And a lot of them headed for the exits right now as they are going home very happy with a 30-0 situation here and 42 seconds left to play. McGee again.
Well,
that's going to be a flag, and that is not a good play. You're right.
And you know what? You got to be careful. The Big Ten has started to crack down on this type of thing.
Everybody has, and the kid, you know, the coaches are going to bring him out of the ball game to explain. Aggressive, yes, but not a good heading play.
Foul. Defense number 4. 15 yards from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
You got to give Jim Haycock and his staff, the defense coordinator, a lot of credit.
You really do.
This is the first back-to-back shutouts that Ohio State has pitched since 1996. Oh, boy. That's bad. I would not be surprised if Kurt Coleman is, if the league office doesn't have something to say about that.
Well, you saw the offensive lineman for Illinois walk over and say something to him in defense of his player. But you're right. Now under the new rule, if the commissioner of your league feels as though that punishment is not severe enough, that they literally can call and say that a guy is suspended for the next week's play. I'm not suggesting that's what's going to happen, but I'm saying that the way the rule is being viewed now, that's exactly what can happen.
And I think rightfully so. I think it's all about safety. That's what the rules are there for.
22 seconds left in the ball game. Ohio State 22 ticks away from opening with a conference win. And this one's just going to be thrown away, stopping the clock at 16 seconds.
And it will be interesting to watch Ohio State. Their offense is not quite there yet. I think they're still trying to figure out their identity. They're not quite sure. They know they have a talent at quarterback, but I'm not quite sure they feel like they have what they can hang their hat on with him. Do they all run all shotgun? Do they go to a power running game? But defensively, this is a special bunch, and I don't think anybody expected Ohio State to be quite this good on this side of the ball in 2009.
That pass caught at the 37, 13 seconds on the clock. A few scattered boos from the crowd.
Well, Illinois needs to keep getting work too.
No question about it. No question about it. Because of so much running in the game, particularly in the first half, this ball game is going to conclude in about 3 hours or maybe just a little bit under. And folks, in this day and time with spread offenses, hurry-up offenses, that is something that's almost a thing of the past. Most of them are close to 4 hours. McGee going to be sacked, and that'll do it. 5 seconds, down to 4, down to 3, and the Ohio State Buckeyes are going to win their conference opener 30-0. The Buckeyes only rushed for 82 yards. They didn't have to worry about that, though. Or passed for 82 yards because they ran for 236. Once again, our final score is Ohio State 30 and Illinois nothing. Ron Franklin along with Ed Cunningham saying so long from Columbus, Ohio, and our entire very, very fine ESPN and ABC crew. Once again, our final score 30-0. Let's go to the studio.